Welcome to our halftime show. The Iowa game has a lot of highlights. Joining me live at the halftime game, or at the game right now, is KCRG-TV9's Jack Lido. I'm going to pull Jack in right now. Jack, obviously pretty much a highlight reel for Iowa in every sense of it. Tell us how it's going so far.
Yeah, Jackson, I don't really have any hard-hitting analysis. It appears to just be a domination from Iowa. Big plays from offense, special teams, and defense. Frankly, Jackson, I can't think of the last time Iowa has scored those 3 touchdowns in all 3 units of the game in their opening half of a game, much less a rivalry game, a Big Ten game against Minnesota. It's been pure domination. And not only with the big plays, it's time of possession. The longest Minnesota drive has lasted 6 plays. Iowa's dominating time of possession. 18 minutes and 21 seconds to 11 minutes and 39 seconds. Iowa's winning time of possession. From here in the bowels of Kinnick Stadium, it's still out every night, and I don't think anyone's leaving after halftime, even though maybe they could, because it's already 31-0.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. I see you obviously in the game hallway there at Kinnick. Tell me a little bit about the energy. I mean, obviously people are going to be pretty excited. I know Iowa was supposed to win, 8.5-point favorites going into this game. Just a total, blowout in every sense of the word in this first half, though. What's the energy like?
Yeah, the energy is obviously great. It's not, honestly, at this point, it's like an A- energy from a Kinnick Stadium crowd, A+ being maybe a top 10 opponent is in town. But honestly, Iowa was able to get up so fast that they haven't really needed the Kinnick crowd. The opening drive, I thought, was so huge in establishing the line of scrimmage and establishing yourself. It ended with a Mark Gronowski touchdown. But let me just pull up the drive right here, chronologically, Iowa. That drive took 10 minutes and 6 seconds. It went 9 plays for 75 yards. That was Iowa's opening drive. Put them up 7-0. Then they forced the Minnesota punt. And then they kicked a field goal, Iowa did. And over the course of that, I believe they converted on a 4th down. Then when you're up 10-0, the crowd is already into it. And then the interception. Zach Lutmer takes it the other way, a pick 6 for a touchdown. And then the crowd, they go completely bonkers. The roof is blown off this place. And after that, Iowa hasn't even needed the crowd very much because they've been playing so well, really dominating, like I said, time of possession, dominating the line of scrimmage. Honestly, I haven't even gotten a great chance to truly study the offensive line and defensive line to see how the push Iowa's been, how good the push is. But I assume it's been pretty good because there have been so many long pass plays, long run plays, and obviously touchdowns, Jackson.
Yeah, Jack, I was just going to bring up the trenches. I haven't gotten a look at the stats as we entered halftime. I got a look at them kind of at the 2-minute warning. I believe Minnesota's rushing yards at the time was like negative 20-something. I mean, just an absolute beatdown on the trenches.
Yeah,
Talk to me a little bit about the physicality.
-9.
Negative 9.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting you. We're looking, that's a net. So their main running back has 5 attempts for 10 yards. But that minus comes from Drake Lindsey, their quarterback, who's been sacked a few times. Right. So he counts for negative 20. So they haven't actually run for negative 9 yards, but
But I mean, it goes to show just how well.
I should say 11 games.
Yeah, it goes to show how well the run game is going when you've got 5 rushing attempts in the first half. I mean, I think that goes to show how much confidence they have in it.
Yeah, they clearly they have a lot of confidence and they deserve a lot of confidence, Jackson.
Yeah, and now Jack, I don't want to take up too much of your time here. I know that you're gonna have to jet as soon as halftime break is over. But I did want to ask about this. I had seen a little bit of the history between Iowa and Minnesota and kind of the Floyd of Rosedale and everything that goes behind hoisting up that trophy. Tell me a little bit about, and again, I understand that this game maybe is an outlier in the history of the rivalry here, but tell me a little bit about the history of what this rivalry looks like.
Yeah, well, history-wise, the Floyd of Rosedale Trophy, that big bronze pig, was introduced in 1935. They've been playing the rivalry much longer than that. But in terms of the trophy, the pig trophy that I was likely going to hold after this game, I don't think it gets any better than that. And in terms of recent history of the game, most of these games have been extremely close, but it's mainly Iowa coming out on top. Since P.J. Fleck was hired as the head coach of Minnesota, he only has one win over Kirk Ferentz in Iowa, and that was 2 years ago in Iowa City in the 12-10 not a fair catch game where Cooper DeJean returns a punt for a touchdown. Looks like Iowa is going to win, and they check replay. Oh no, he actually made an invalid fair catch signal, and that gives that stops Iowa and gives Minnesota the win. But let me just read the last few games. Iowa wins 31-14 last year, and before that, this is going backwards from 2023. 12-10 Minnesota, 13-10 Iowa, 27-22 Iowa, 35-7 Iowa, 23-19 Iowa, 48-31 Iowa, 17-10 Iowa, 14-7 Iowa, 40-35 Iowa, and that's 2015. Minnesota's last win in Minneapolis was in 2014. So this is a generally close rivalry, but Iowa has generally been dominating.
A lot of close scores, though Iowa looks like they take the win in a lot of these games. I mean, a lot of close scores overall. Not often you see an Iowa blowout. I mean, Iowa's obviously been known for its defense in recent years, but certainly an offensive showing of 31 points like that. The special teams plays you mentioned, the defensive shutout, really incredible stuff that we're seeing at this point. I'm amazed. You don't see a highlight reel game like this very often between teams that are supposed to be close.
Yes, I've been so impressed with the way Iowa's been able to move down the field with big plays. I like the big plays stat on the stat broadcast. So I'm sorry, I'm just pulling up a website right now. Iowa has 3 big passing plays. They call big plays in the passing game 15-plus yards, and 2 big rushing plays. They call those 10-plus yards. They have passing plays of 22, 28, and 29. The 29-yard play was a touchdown. They have rushing plays of 21 and 14, and that's not even counting the 50-yard touchdoon punt return from Caden Weech. Hey, Jackson,
yes.
Can I take us outside?
Go ahead.
We've already got the stats here. I'm in the bowels of Kinnick Stadium. I'm only a couple minutes or a couple seconds away. So hopefully our Zoom continues to work. There's a up there you see the Hawkeye march.
Okay, we see it. We see it. We're picking it up.
So sorry, let me get my computer straight here. They're playing a School of Rock halftime show, if you can hear me. Hold on, let's get some kids.
We're picking you up.
How's it been going so far? Good? Think I was going to win? You think I was going to win?
Yeah.
All right, live television. That works. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to side.
A pretty bold prediction from them to take the win away there. I think it's a good call. I think it's a safe bet at this point in time. No, I mean, obviously the stadium, I mean, you can't fault any fan for just sitting here complacent at this point. It feels pretty good. It probably feels pretty good to be an Iowa fan.
It's got to feel pretty good. And I don't know what the second half is exactly going to look like, but I got to imagine Hawkeye fans are hoping that those second stringers can come in. I don't think Kirk Ferentz is a type of guy to run up the score, but you never know with a rival like Minnesota across the field. Obviously, Minnesota can't be counted out. They might make this thing close. But with the way Iowa plays defense and special teams, this is a team that doesn't really allow comebacks with how good they are at containing quarterbacks. And you have to remember there's a freshman quarterback on the other side in Drake Lindsey. And there's really nothing the Minnesota QB can do. He's 8 of 13 for 53 yards passing. And he hasn't made too many huge mistakes, but the one huge mistake Iowa capitalized on, it was Zach Lutmer, pick 6.
Yep. I mean, like you said, just lights out from defense here. It's hard to envision a world in which Minnesota ends up making this thing even a teeny bit close with the point that it's at now. But like you said, Minnesota obviously a competitive team, 5-2, not going to be counted out here. But certainly this win looks very good for the Iowa Hawkeyes. I mean, who honestly have had a lot of really good competitive games against solid teams, and now this blowout game against a team that, granted, like I said, favored at the beginning, but to have this type of showing, I don't think anyone could have expected.
No, this is a Minnesota team that let up 6 points to Nebraska last Friday night. They had an extra day to prepare, and yet it looks like Iowa had an extra 2 weeks to prepare because Minnesota just came off the bus flat-footed. Iowa was clearly hyped up from their swarm, from Kinnick getting them inside, getting them hyped, and they came out instantly. Kirk Ferentz always likes taking the ball first. Iowa won the coin toss. They got the ball first, and they did exactly what they were supposed to do, which is score a touchdown.
And like you said, I mean, setting the tone early with that opening drive. I mean, a long drive, lots of big plays throughout the game. I want to ask you real quick, how much time left do we have before second half starts? I know you're a busy man. I know
Yeah, wait, hold
I know
on.
you're in a bit of a chaotic situation here.
Yeah, I can do it. Sorry for the video troubles. It's high exposure. But I'm looking at 5 minutes and 44 seconds.
5 minutes,
clock,
okay.
Which means special teamers are already out. The rest of the team's going to 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, being down there, I want to ask this. Being down there on ground level, what kind of energy do you see from the players in, I mean, a crazy showing from everybody, all sides of the field. I mean, you said special teams, offense, defense. There hasn't really been seemingly any weak points. I mean, I can't think of any easy critiques off the top of my head for this Iowa team.
No.
What's the energy like among the players, coaches, people on the ground level there?
Honestly, after touchdowns are scored, of course, everyone gets hyped. But just from walking up and down Iowa's sideline behind their benches, I don't think they're loosening up at all. They kind of look like and sound like it's a tie game. I mean, maybe they're not as urgent as if it were a 10-10 game in the fourth quarter, but they're not celebrating. There's not a lot of smiles on the Hawkeyes' faces. They're still treating it like a big game because even up 31-0, Minnesota's a Big Ten team that they have the ability to make a comeback. But just from looking at these players up and down the sidelines, they're not mad, they're not upset, obviously, but they're still locked in.
Yeah, I mean, I think that shows something. I think that shows that this team, and granted, there's still some tough games left on the schedule here. It's not like Iowa has a cakewalk the rest of the way through, but at the same time, I mean, to be able to have kind of that poise, I mean, this team clearly wants it. This team, I think from early on, this team maybe felt count out in a way with losing that Cyhawk game. Again, I don't know if there's maybe that chip on their shoulder there, but certainly this is a team that wants it.
This is a team not only that wants it, that maybe people counted out. It's a team that has gotten better just about every week. This team is so different than the team we saw in Ames. This team is different than the team that beat UMass a few weeks back. This team is a lot more like the team that came close to upsetting Indiana, the top 5 Indiana team. And you can see this team getting better and better and better each week. And they stumbled a little bit with some uncharacteristic mistakes against Penn State. But as a whole, I think they fought really hard against Penn State and played really well against Penn State. Here against Minnesota, they're playing just as hard, they're playing just as well, but there are no mistakes. Minnesota's the team that's making the mistakes, and Iowa has been able to take advantage.
No, Jack, I imagine that we don't have too much time left in halftime at this point. And obviously, we thank you so much for being willing to take us on a Zoom there inside the tunnel and even being able to show us on the field a little bit. Of course, we appreciate that. Any last words for us before the second half starts? Obviously, we're going to have a bigger array of highlights, both at our 6 p.m. streaming show and our 10 p.m. newscast. But anything else that Hawkeye fans need to be paying attention to, looking forward to, is maybe a better way to put it, in the second half?
Looking forward to, you got to pray there's no injuries if you're an Iowa fan. Maybe you hope to see Jeremy Hecklinski or Hank Brown, 2 of the backup quarterbacks, midway through the fourth quarter. And then on defense, everybody's been excited to see those Iowa kids on defense, talking, of course, about the linebackers. Derek Weiskopf out of Williamsburg, Cam Buffington out of Winfield Mount Union, and Preston Reese out of Monticello. Those are all redshirt freshmen that these coaches and a lot of fellow Hawkeye beat writers and journalists have been really excited to see. Those are obviously all Eastern Iowa guys we covered in high school. So if we can see them get their first taste of real Big Ten action in the fourth quarter, say the Hawkeyes are up 35-7, there's 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, you can see some backups coming in, give the starters an extra quarter of rest. You don't want to look past Minnesota, but if this game shapes up to be a blowout win for Iowa, they can give their starters some rest. Iowa goes into the bye week this upcoming week and then they host Oregon. That's the big one against what should be a top 10 team. If you win this game and then you perform well against Oregon, dare I say win that game, man, everything is in front of you. I don't want to look too far ahead, Hawkeye fans. We're only in halftime against Minnesota here, but things are looking up for Iowa. In this, what is essentially a playoff elimination game, Iowa brought their A game.
It's certainly hard to not feel optimistic after this game. But Jack, thank you so much for joining us for our halftime show here. Obviously, like you said, I know you've got a ton of highlights for us. This game's been a highlight reel up to this point. We will have more of those at 6 and, of course, on our 10 p.m. newscast tonight. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your game time coverage to be able to show us an insight into what's going on in the game so far. But that is all the time we got for our halftime show. We will see you all again at both 6 and 10. Thank you so much for joining us.